Everyone, I'd like you to welcome you to tonight's public hearing. Before we get started, please turn off your cell phones or any other electronic devices to avoid any interruptions. If anyone here is planning on presenting testimony, please sign up in the back at the sign-up sheet, the back of the hearing room. Anyone who wants an opportunity to speak tonight will have time to do so. Please step up to the podium when it's your turn and make sure you clearly identify yourself for our record before you begin your testimony. We request that you please keep your testimony focused on the relevant issues and facts for each application. Please remember, these hearings are to allow for members of the public to speak on issues related to land use applications, not to air grievances about each other or your neighbors. We will not tolerate or allow testimony that is hateful in nature and will stop your testimony if it delves into a statement on other people's character. Okay? It is Wednesday, the 9th of April. The time is 6 o'clock. The time set for the public hearing. All three commissioners are present. Mr. Clerk, are there any changes to the agenda?
No, sir.
Hearing no changes to the agenda, we'll take up, we have some unfinished business. I will accept a motion to remove unfinished business from the table.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we remove the unfinished business from the table for consideration.
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion to remove the unfinished business from the table. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, now, we didn't open the public hearing on this, didn't we, Michelle? All right. I'll open the public hearing on application 2024-01978, SPR, Wood Forest Heights subdivision. We'll ask for our staff, McKella, to give us a report, and then we'll hear from the applicant. Go ahead, McKella.
It's coming up, I think. All right, Mr. Chairman.
You want to tell us twice? More than twice.
Want to make sure that everybody knows we're here.
That's what happens when we don't have real IT guy.
Yeah, where's the real IT guy?
This should be off.
Well, shoot, my computer went off now.
Is that okay? I just clicked share.
By the way, it's McKay.
I know that. I remember that now.
You pronounced it wrong the second time.
I know. My computer came off. Hey,
You touched the.
no, I didn't touch any of them.
Mine's still on.
Why did you know why my computer went off?
Oh.
You good? Okay, perfect, thank you. Okay, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, hopefully you can hear me now. My name is Michaela Owens. I'm an associate planner with Development Services, and tonight I'm presenting project 2024-01978-S-PR, which is an application for a residential two-lot subdivision, Wood Forest Heights, and a private road, South Wagmore Lane. To jump into our site characteristics, the subject property is located at 5175 West Victory Road in Nampa, Idaho, and contains 10.41 acres in the Rural Urban Transition District. The property is within Meridian's area of city impact. It's located south of West Victory Road and west of Black Cat. The applicant is proposing to divide the parent parcel, which you can see outlined here in red, into two lots, each with a minimum of 5 acres to comply with the dimensional requirements of the RUT district. So this slide shows the proposed plat for the Wood Forest Heights subdivision, which is going to contain two lots. A proposed private road, South Wagmore Lane, is going to run from Victory Road at the north side of this property down to the southern lot to provide access, and it's contained within a 50-foot wide easement on the eastern portion of the two lots. The private road is aligned with an existing roadway that's across Victory Road. Both of the proposed parcels are going to be taking access off of this new private road. Additionally, these lots meet all of the required dimensional standards for lots that are located within the Rural Urban Transition or RUT district. So the application was transmitted to relevant agencies, and the following are the comments that we received. Ada County Highway District has some standard conditions of approval, including a driveway approach request and right-of-way permits as necessary. The Ada County building official indicated they have no objections to this project. There is an existing permit that will need to be closed out for a different project. The Boise Project Board of Control indicated that there is a valid water right on the property and that they would need to protect any easements for irrigation or drainage ditches that cross the property. Our Ada County Associate Community and Regional Planner, Stacy Dupuy, confirmed that the proposed subdivision is compatible with the City of Meridian's comprehensive plan as adopted by Ada County. Central District Health probably has one of the more relevant comments here, indicating that they require a land development application, fee per lot, test holes, and a full engineering report for this subdivision. And the Ada County Associate Engineer indicated that they have some standard conditions and that they also need a little extra paving and then calculations for that paving, which should not be an issue. There were no public comments that were received on the application, and the following are the conditions of approval. They will need to receive approval from the irrigation district and the fire district for the plat, which is standard. They're going to have to amend the plat to show the 10-foot easement along the boundaries of the subdivision and along the right-of-way. There are some irrigation pipes on the property, mostly underground, that serve some surrounding properties, and they'll need to be protected with a 30-foot setback and easement. And then they will also need to comply with ACHD's conditions and Central District Health's conditions as listed previously. Staff does find that the project complies with Ada County Code and the applicable comprehensive plan and recommends approval of this project, as did the Planning and Zoning Commission at their meeting. This presentation will be added to the record as an exhibit, and I stand for any questions you might have.
Thank you, Michaela. Is there any questions from the board?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Michaela, you said there was a water right on the property, correct? Does the plan entail, how are they going to use the water right, I guess? Do they have in their application any indication if they're going to use it surface water as opposed to a well for irrigation of the yard, et cetera?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Daly, they didn't specify. They have some existing irrigation available on the site that I believe they're currently using to water the property. I imagine they would continue using that, but the applicant would probably speak to that more. Doesn't seem like they're expanding the use.
But it's not a condition, or it's not delineated. That was
No,
my,
that's
thank
correct.
you.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, thank you. Is the applicant here? Welcome.
Hello, everyone. My name is Lily Wright. I'm actually Angela's representative for tonight. She had a conflicting appointment and wasn't able to make it. So in my capacity, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. Commissioner Daly, you did ask about the existing water lines. As of right now, they're all above ground, gravity-fed irrigation pipes. And aside from a little section where we need to expand the driveway, we'll be moving those underground. The rest of them will be made above ground, just gravity-fed irrigation for the land.
Okay, go ahead.
Just to follow up, because you are aware the legislature just passed legislation that requires above-ground use of irrigation water if it's available in these kind of developments. So that's,
I'm sure that she's aware of that.
okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, thank you. Thank you. Anyone else here? I have no one else that signed up to speak on this. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on this application? Okay, if not, anything we need to add to the record?
No, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I will close the public hearing on application 2024-01978-S-PR. Okay, the application being closed, the hearing being closed. What's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
if a motion is in order,
a motion's in order.
I move that we approve application 2024-01978-S-PR Wood Forest Heights subdivision as listed on the agenda based on conditions of fact and conclusions of law and the testimony we've heard tonight.
Okay. Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Okay, you've heard the motion. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, we'll get into the new business now. I'll open a public hearing on application 2021-00660-CU-MSP-TE and application 2023-01034-HD-TE, Hatch Design Architecture. Okay, we'll get a report from our staff, Brent Danielson. Go ahead, Brent.
Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, project number 2021-00660-CU-MSP-TE and project number 2023-01034-HD-TE is a board-level time extension for the conditional use, master site plan, and hillside application for the Stone Crossing Event Center. The property is located in north central Ada County and is across the street from the Dry Creek Ranch Plan Community near the intersection of Brookside Lane and Highway 55. The property is located at 9600 West Brookside Lane. It contains 10 acres in the rural residential district. The applicant is requesting a 2-year time extension. The subject property has a long history with event centers. The property was originally received approval for an event center back in 2009. This event center was rather small and the occupancy was limited to only 50 people. Joe Critchfield purchased the property in 2018. In 2021, Mr. Critchfield received approval to expand the event center to 550 people. A few months after receiving approval, Joe and Stephanie Critchfield sold the property and event center to the current owner, Stone Crossing LLC. Prior to receiving approval of the conditional use and master site plan, the Critchfields had been holding events on the property. In order for the Critchfields to continue holding events on the property, while they were working on satisfying their conditions of approval, an administrative modification was approved to allow them to hold events of up to 150 people outside and in temporary tents through April 30th of 2022. In 2022, the new and current owner, Stone Crossing LLC, applied for an administrative modification to allow them to hold events of up to 250 people while they continue to work on satisfying their conditions of approval, specifically the ACHD required improvements. This administrative modification allowed them to have events on the property until April 30th of 2023. In 2023, another administrative modification was approved to allow them to hold events for another year. In 2024, the applicant applied for and received approval for an administrative time extension. In 2023, the applicant applied for a hillside development application for the construction of a new parking area and associated driveways, and the following year, the applicant applied for and received approval of an administrative time extension on the hillside development. The applicant has stated in their detailed letter that they need additional time to complete the installation of the ACHD improvements and the new parking area. This is the applicant's first board grant time extension. If the board were to approve the time extension, it could be given until April 30th of 2027. We have received a few comments from neighboring property owners, both in favor of the application and those opposed. The owner of the Shaw Valley Golf Course stated that Stone Crossing runs an excellent operation as a great asset to the neighborhood. Neighbors in opposition to the event center have raised concerns regarding noise and light, traffic impacts, decrease in property value, and wildlife habitat on the property at the new parking area. To address some of the neighbors' concerns, staff has recommended a condition of approval for the applicant to address the neighbors' concerns regarding lighting. Basically, there's a condition of approval that the output of the lights will need to comply with Article 8-4H of the Ada County Code, and for the effective zone of light to not trespass on abutting residential properties. In addition, as a matter of law, the applicant is required to abide by Ada County's noise ordinance. The applicant has talked to staff about constructing a new building on the property to hold events. Due to the size of the building that the applicant would like to build in the future, they will likely need to submit a master site plan application as the increase in building square footage would exceed 20%, and this would require notification to neighboring property owners. We have received comments from two agencies. The Ada County building official replied that they have no objection to the time extension and that the current building permit will expire on August 6th of 2025. if the fire suppression system is not installed and approved by the Eagle Fire District, and if this permit isn't approved and closed, a new building permit will be required. The Eagle Fire District responded that they do not oppose the time extension, and they mentioned that Stone Crossing has an extension on their fire watch, which is effective through April 30th of 2025, and it could be extended in the future. Staff finds that the application complies with the A County Code and recommends approval to the board, and I'll stand for any questions.
Okay, any questions? Okay, thank you. Okay, is the applicant here?
Good evening, Jeff Hatch with Hatch Design Architecture. Our address is 200 West 36th Street, Boise, Idaho. Good evening, Chairman Beck and Commissioners. Thank you for your consideration of our time extension this evening. Next slide. Brent already recapped the site vicinity location. And if we go to the next slide, just kind of briefly go over the application progress. As far as the street frontage along Brook Lane, we do have Brookside Lane. We do have an actively reviewed ACHD permit that is ongoing. We had recent comments that have been resubmitted. We're hoping to get that building permit in the next month. If that is the case, we're intending to build out all of those improvements as obligated, as well as the access road up to the facility for the fire department as soon as possible. In addition to that, we've been working with Eagle Fire. We submitted to State Fire, had our permit approved to a point where we could start fire suppression. The installation process within the existing facility is about 50% complete, and we intend to have the balance of that suppression installed within the building in the next month. The fire alarm system is also planned to be actually completed in the next 3 weeks. And then I think the only other thing would be our water tank that goes with the fire suppression is ordered, and it should be here in approximately 3 months, which should fall in line with our construction timeframe for the sidewalk and ACHD improvements. And I will stand for any questions.
All right, any questions from the board?
Mr. Chairman? Go ahead. So the pictures that we have, Brent, can you put the pictures up there? Yeah, that one. So where is the street, the Brookfield, I think it's the name of a road?
You can see the power lines down below. And so currently that's an unimproved portion of the street that has a burrow ditch. And so we would be improving that entire stretch of our frontage with curb gutter sidewalk and also improvements to the parking lot.
Follow-up question.
Go ahead.
So your anticipation of those trees, et cetera, will be there in terms of?
Correct. Yeah. Our
It's-
intention would be to preserve the trees per our plans, and if ACHD requires that we remove some, we would work with Ada County Development Services to ensure that we're maintaining our frontage requirements.
In terms of between you and the houses that are closest by, correct?
Correct.
And then the picture that we have, there's a gazebo kind of a thing right there by the road. Is that part of your property?
That is part of the property.
And so
Commissioner Daly.
would that be part of the events? Would you have events there, I guess? Is part of the events, would that be part of the events?
So the events range in use, but like if you're having a wedding and you have a portion of that group that is preparing for that, I believe that's what the use of that gazebo would be for. The majority of the actual congregation of events is to the north within
Right.
the building and north of the building, facing the golf course.
So the primary portion of it would be where the current location structure is.
And north.
And north of the road and over past those trees to the north, correct?
Correct. So from the building, it would be the top left of that photo.
Right. Thank you.
And for the record, we are in agreement with staff's recommendation for the lighting policy restriction.
Okay, any other questions? from the board?
Sure.
Yeah, go ahead.
Are you working on the fire suppression system as well?
I am familiar with it to the point that we're helping to coordinate with Eagle Fire. As far as a fire suppression engineer, I am not.
Is the water tank that you said was coming in 3 months, is that part of the fire suppression plan required by Eagle Fire?
Commissioner Davison, it is, and that's to get our gallons per minute to a point where it's appropriate for the design of the fire suppression system.
Is that going to conflict with the deadline that they gave? Well, it's not really part of the sharing, but I'm just curious because it looks like they gave you till what, April 25th or so, or gave the order till?
Commissioner Davison, they gave us till April 30th, but we are eligible for requests for extending that further, and we have been working very closely with them based on the timelines of getting these products, getting them approved, and then, with shipping and everything where it is, this is kind of the timeline we have, but they are intimately aware of our progress.
All right, thank you.
Go ahead. One more question? Go ahead.
So all of that, my water question, the water that's going to be used to keep all that vegetation and et cetera, where's it coming from? All the facility that you're building, the water that's going to be, because you're showing the development as, do you show that development slide? Yeah, that one. So all the surrounding, the event center itself, the water that keeps all of the vegetation around there, where's that coming from?
Currently, that is an existing system that's in play and doing a fine job, so we wouldn't be proposing to affect that. The purpose of the fire tank is that fills up with water at a certain rate and then pressurizes to be able to be used for our fire suppression system. So other than charging it for the first time and the circulation required by code to make sure that it functions properly, it would not have any effect on the irrigation.
And the availability of water. That was my follow-up question. Thank you for answering that one too. Thank you.
Okay. And I guess you're not opposing the staff's recommendation on the lighting and the, what was the other one?
Mr. Chairman, basically, it's kind of the lighting and then just continue to work with the Eagle Fire District on like having the Eagle Fire District approve the fire watch plan and kind of work with Eagle Fire and our building official and getting
Well,
those
have to do that,
permits
or
done.
they can't have any events there if you don't have fire watch till you get the sprinkling system in place, right?
Commissioner Beck, that is correct. Yeah, so we continue to coordinate with them both on a timeliness of the infrastructure that we're putting in, as well as the fire watch.
And they've granted the extension for you to get your tank. They've granted the extension for you to get your water tank?
I would probably have to defer to the owner on that particular question, because I'm not sure where we are with that particular status, but the tank has been ordered. So
Okay.
I would imagine that we can show them that receipt and
All right.
and they would extend that fire watch.
I don't have any more questions. Are there any other questions from the board? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we have two people signed up to testify. Brent Frame. Yeah, good evening.
Good evening. I had a whole speech kind of written out, but I think that there's some confusion because in the paperwork that we were mailed, my name is Brent Frame. I live at 9396 West Mirror Pond Drive. It's directly across the street from the Stone Crossing property. From our paperwork that we were mailed, I don't know what the little box represents above the parking spaces. Are you able to clarify that?
Mr. Chairman, and that is kind of an area where they're looking at doing a new building in the future. So it's not, this application doesn't approve that location of that new building, but that's something in the future that they're looking at doing a new building there in the future.
Okay. Okay, if that's the case, in terms of the parking spaces, I don't have a major opposition to that. I do have an opposition to any commercial development. There's some paperwork that we received from a different plan that was for the Shadow Valley subdivision, and I think it indicated that there was some building or commercial space that was going to be allocated on the Stone Crossing property, and that is where I wanted to hopefully draw the line.
Well, this is not for a different application. This is only for a time extension for
Yeah.
the one they already had.
So-
So if there is another application, or if there is, then you'll get notified of that and they'll have another public hearing.
Okay. As far as the previous conditional use, I don't really oppose that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Erica Schumann-Fitch.
Long name. Hi.
Hi. Did I say that wrong?
Schumann Fitch. I should have never hyphenated. I should have just done Fitch. 16 years later.
Oh, okay.
I've decided
All right,
that.
All right, well, go ahead. You got 3 minutes, Erica.
Hi.
Go ahead.
So I live 2 doors down from him, even closer to Stone Crossing, where the lights shine into my house at night when people are up on the hill, and I can text Austin, or I don't know if he's there anymore, but the lights coming in, and then the huge light also that people have complained about that come into my yard and my home, and the noise. The noise is better than it was the first year that I was here 3 years ago, but it has been, if we're inside, doors, windows shut, you can still hear the music. You cannot hear each other speak outside. You can hear people's conversations. It's very intrusive. So my husband and I are okay with Stone Crossing. We just would like the noise to be toned down quite a bit. And you guys already talked about the lights. And so the lights.
Okay. Anything else?
In my email that I had submitted, I was also talking about being concerned about traffic if there was a fire, and being able for people in my neighborhood to get out on that small road of Brookside. It's just a small 2-lane road, so I had expressed my concern about that as well.
Okay. Any questions from the commission?
Mr. Chair.
Yeah, go ahead.
Maybe this is for staff, but is she talking, well, as far as their new application goes for the parking lot, they're planning to build new lights, or do they have lights there already?
They, Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Davidson, they have lights there already. With the condition, we need to have them revisit the lights to make sure that they're not, if we have lights are on, we don't want them to be, encroaching into the backyards. And so that's kind of what that condition states.
Are the lights that she's referring to the ones that are sort of part of the parking lot, or is there different lights there?
I believe those are the parking lot lights.
There's one very tall, large, specific one that if you're on Brookside and you're looking at Stone Crossing, it's on the far left of the parking lot. That's extremely tall, and that's the one that really comes in at night. And the only other thing with the lights is people sitting in their cars getting ready to leave, and they're sitting there talking or whatever, and the headlights are on and literally coming into the family room.
Okay.
And our bedroom, both.
Okay. Any other questions?
I'll just ask you about the noise. Is it within our noise ordinance, the hours? Is it noisy after hours or just during legal hours?
Oh, I mean, it's 7, 8 o'clock at night. Like, you can sing and dance. Sometimes when the music's been okay and we've been out there barbecuing and had friends over, we could dance along or whatever, but there's no playing your own music. And then there were times where it was so loud. It was unbelievable. And then some of the music with the foul language and whatnot was unpleasant, especially when we had kids in the backyard.
I think our noise ordinance kind of caps it at 10 o'clock. Is that right? So had you heard noise after 10?
Not in the last year or so, no.
Okay.
No, they were very good about that.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
And I will say, when I do text Austin, or when I had text him with the headlights, he would handle it. So I did appreciate that.
Good. You have a question? Go ahead.
My question is, you've heard the dialogue on the lighting, so do you think the conditions would address your lighting question?
I was having a hard time hearing you a little bit. So would you take that very tall one and move the lighting away from all of the backyards that are on Brookside and point it more toward Stone Crossing?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, and then what about the cars that are, and they don't really, you don't have parking up there that I'm aware of behind the house, like north of the house. So not quite sure who's up there with the cars sometimes after events with the headlights coming in.
We probably need to talk with the owner about that one. I'm not sure on that.
Okay,
Okay. All right, thank you.
thank you.
Thank you. Okay, is there anyone else wishes to speak? Okay, the applicant can give a rebuttal if you'd like.
Chairman Beck and Commissioners, thank you again for your consideration of our time extension. As far as the comments from the neighbors, in discussion with the owner, he'll continue to be vigilant about the noise concern. And we feel that working with staff, we can satisfy the concern for lighting. I did note in the parking lot, the far left, so we do have that location isolated so that we can understand a little bit better what that particular light is occurring as well. And I'll stand for any additional questions.
Any questions from the board?
Mr. Chair.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, and this might be for the owner if you can't answer it, but I'm assuming that the music is probably selected by the people renting the venue.
Yeah.
Is there any rules and regulations of the venue about, music choices, considering there may be profanity that people can hear?
Gentlemen, Mark Fitzpatrick, I'm the owner, Old State Stone Crossing. So regarding the music, that's something that was really important to me. So as I took ownership of the property, we had to fulfill the contracts that were previously written before my ownership. And those were with outside DJs and without any kind of limitations on the music. We actually have it written into our contract now. That we don't allow music with, explicit lyrics that are overwhelming. I don't want that on the property, and if people want to have that, they just can choose a different location to go to. And then also, we have created our own DJ entertainment crew as part of our services for Stone Crossing. And that DJ crew is very aware of what we're allowed and not allowed to offer as far as lyrics and everything else. So the comments that I believe Erica had regarding the music, and she did mention talking to Austin, who hasn't worked there for 2 years, and now he was there for the transition of changing these regulations in our contract to improve the music situation. So, I'm definitely willing to have anybody call if there's a problem. I went numerous times last season and just kind of stood out there in the street on the sidewalk while the DJ was playing up on the hill on the other side. And it very faintly can hear it in the distance. In fact, you can definitely hear the traffic on 55 would be louder than the music up on the hill. But yeah, we've addressed both of those issues. And it sounds like based off of her comments, these are from older, like when I first took ownership, and not so much recently, is my understanding based off of her commentary about texting Austin.
Follow up?
Go ahead.
Are you playing amplified music both inside and outside the venue? And I'm assuming she's hearing it if it's outside the venue.
That would be, it's outside on the north side, and the speakers are positioned towards the golf course area, towards the east.
I'm assuming though, since you've taken over, you're kind of cognizant of volume levels and
Yes.
based on the proximity of the neighbors, and you understand the lighting issue she brought up, I'm assuming.
I don't know exactly what she's talking about for the headlights. There's like a little hill on their side of the street that would block, I believe, any parking lot headlights. So I'm not sure if she's talking about something else up above that might be happening. Happy to look at and address, anything, but people leaving in the dark from up on top who've been cleaning or whatever after the party's over, when they're coming down the hill, they have to have their headlights on, so.
On the proposed parking lot where people are parking, are they going to be directly facing the houses?
The proposed parking lot that has been the proposed parking lot since before I even bought it includes parking spaces that are pointed towards the houses, yes.
I don't know. I don't know if you have any ideas about communicating to people not to sit there with their headlights on or wait till they drive. I don't know, maybe little signage out there, don't turn headlights on, or I don't know, maybe you could brainstorm something about that.
Yeah, I think additional signage just about general courtesy to our neighbors as well, with even the talking in the parking lot, or we can address all those things. What I've been really waiting for is ACHD to approve the plan so that we can get the parking lot done and get the sidewalks in and get everything kind of solidified and done. And we're just waiting, so.
And not really relevant to this hearing, but just out of curiosity, you feel you're on track with the fire suppression plan?
Yeah, I got down to Chief Lewis, who decided to, give us the time to get everything done. And he is waiting to give us a more lengthy extension that will match the extension that will hopefully soon be approved by the state level fire authority. And we turned that in early January as far as the whole plans, and we have yet to get the approval on that. I think they had a couple questions back and forth. And in the meantime, they've allowed us to start early on the construction. So we've started early on the construction, and we're more than halfway done inside the house as far as all the piping and everything goes.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Do you have any questions?
Just, it might be for both of
go
staff
ahead.
as well as him. This is just an extension of the conditional use permit, correct?
That's, Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Dilly, that is correct.
And so some of these questions, as they move through the process, will be addressed, like building permits, et cetera, correct?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Dilly, that is correct.
And those issues there'll be time to address those if necessary, correct?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that concludes our hearing. Is there any documents or anything else that needs to be added to the record?
Mr. Chairman, yes. So Exhibit 24 will be my presentation, and Exhibit number 25 will be Mr. Hatch's presentation.
Okay. Well, I had a question. The two conditions of approval, is that something you were just suggesting, or do you have it written up in your conditions of approval?
Mr. Chairman, I have those written up in my conditions.
Which one is it?
Let me take a look here. So, Mr. Chairman, the condition regarding the lighting is condition number 8.
Number 8? Well, when I see the conditions of approval, number 8 talks about the ACHD Development Services Review. Am I missing something?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I'm looking at Mr. Dennison's report. Number 8 does talk about addressing neighbor concerns with lighting.
I guess I don't have that one then. All right. Well, good enough. All right, the hearing being closed, it's up to the board now. I think we should accept the recommendations of the staff on the lighting and the fire. Is there any other questions or discussions from the commission? I would accept the motion then.
Mr. Chair, I'll move to approve the board level time extension for application number 202-100-660-CU-MSP-TE and 202-301-034 HDTE. based on the findings of fact and recommendations of the Planning and Zoning Committee.
I second the motion.
Okay, you've heard the motion. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries, thank you. Next, we have, I'll open the public hearing on application 2024 01900 ZC-DA-MSP. And we have Mr. Doug Holton here to make a presentation to us. Go ahead.
County Commissioners, project number 2024-01900-ZC-DA-MSP is an application for a zone change from rural urban transition district to general industrial, a development agreement, and a master site plan for a contractor's yard. The property is 9.91 acres and located on North Star Road, and it is approximately 750 feet north of West Joplin Road. The property is within the rural urban transition district. Star city limits are to the southwest of the property, and it is within Star's area of city impact. Nearby properties are residential and agricultural in use. The nearest zoning that differs from the rural urban transition district is community commercial and Star's R4 district. This slide shows the site plan for the proposed contractor's yard, which complies with the specific use standards for a contractor's yard. For some background on the development agreement, originally the city of Star was opposed to the project due to conflicts with the Star's south of the river plan. The city of Star then said it would support the project if berms and landscaping were provided. Star then recommended approval if specific conditions of approval in the development agreement were included. Agency comments are as follows. As previously mentioned, Star's planning director commented with conditions of approval in the development agreement that an industrial zoning designation should be approved for the specific use. If the business is sold, a contractor's yard shall be eliminated, and land use shall not be transferable to a new landowner. Once the property abuts Star city limits, the current owner shall annex into the city of Star. Central District Health will require that if any restrooms or plumbing facilities are installed, they must meet Idaho sewage regulations. Ada County's community and regional planner commented that the zoning change is not compatible with Star's comprehensive plan as adopted by Ada County, but it does comply with Star's economic development goals in the comprehensive plan. A neighbor commented with the following recommendations. If removing or replacing fencing, make sure that livestock is not present on the property to the east. Avoid drainage into the drainage ditch, and to use a berm to reduce visibility from neighboring properties. Staff in the Ada County Planning and Zoning Commission finds that project number 2024-1900-ZC-DA-MSP complies with the Star Comprehensive Plan as adopted by Ada County, the zoning ordinance map amendment requirements, and the master site plan requirements. The project also complies with Ada County Code regarding development agreements and contractors' yards. Staff finds that this application complies with Ada County Code and recommends approval to the board. And I encourage you to consider testimony presented at this hearing for your final decision. This presentation will be an exhibit to the record, and I'll stand for any questions.
Okay, I have a question for you, two questions. Some of the conditions of approval,
Yes.
is it not part of the law that when we make a change in the zone, that goes with the land and not with the owner? And yet you're recommending that I don't know how we do that. How do we do that?
These recommended conditions of approval, in my opinion, are unenforceable, so I would recommend removing them.
Well, the other one, on annexation, we have nothing to do with annexation either. I mean, how do we do that?
These were recommendations from the city of Star to get them on board with the conflicts with their comprehensive plan.
Well, I I just don't see how we can do that, by the way. Anyway, go ahead. Do you have a question for staff?
Well, my question was similar to yours, and so if clarify what I understood you to say, there's a conflict right now, and there's no way we have the authority to do what Star City has asked us to do, correct?
Correct.
Well, we can do it, but we just can't enforce it.
That's what I mean. Legally, we
We can't demand annexation. We have nothing to do with that. And then the other one, that's just, I've never heard of that. Has that ever been done before in Ada County where a zone would go with the owner and not the land?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, I guess I can't comment for, anywhere in the county. Maybe some of the cities get creative with their development agreements and add some things like Star was suggesting, but for Ada County, I cannot recall any specific examples where we've had a conditional approval that's only applicable to a current property owner. We do typically see everything run with the land, and I don't think we've ever had a required annexation condition before as well. So,
Yes.
yeah, specifically proposed conditions 34 and 35 do appear somewhat problematic.
Well, and my question wasn't anywhere in the county, but in the county that we control. We don't control anything in the city zoning, but you can't recall of any time where there's been an application presented where we required the zone or the action taken by this board to go with the owner as opposed to with the land.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, that's correct. In the last 18 years I've been here, I cannot recall anything property owner specific. It always runs with the land.
Have we ever had, I don't care, have we ever had a request that we try to enforce annexation?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, I don't know if we've received a request.
No, but have we ever tried to enforce annexation?
Yeah, I don't believe so, Mr. Chairman.
I don't think that's in the code. Okay. Anyway, well, thank you. Any other questions before we get the applicant's talk?
I guess, no, I'll wait until the end.
Okay, you have a question? Go ahead.
Were any of the neighbors' concerns, were those incorporated into the conditions of approval, or were they already addressed by conditions in there?
The applicant addressed them in a revised master site plan.
Thank you.
Okay, go ahead.
I'd ask this thing. So when planning and zoning considered this, did Star come in? Was there any discussion of the subject we're just discussing?
I recall there was some discussion, but they decided to keep those two items as part of a condition of approval.
Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you. Is the applicant here?
Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak to you this evening. My name is Brittany Todorescu, the applicant and representative of the property owner for the requested zoning change and approval of master site plan and the development agreement for the said property located off North Star Road in Meridian, just south of Star. So we are requesting the board's approval for the proposed zoning change in order to build our shop and office, AKA the contractor's yard and shop, for our small local excavation company. The property is currently zoned RUT, and that allows for the conditional use permit. That would allow us to build the shop and office. However, this would require us to renew that use permit every 5 years. So the reason for us, wanting to change the zoning or request a zone change to the general industrial zoning would be because it is a permitted use and it would eliminate that 5-year renewal. It's a large, as you know, building a new building and developing land is very expensive, and we are not willing to, make a financial investment if we're not allowed to build what we want to build there and then be told a couple of years later, or, 5 years later that we have to rip it down. It's no longer an allowed use. So the biggest thing is we're looking for a long-term solution and home for our business. It's a small excavation company, and we've been in business since 2013. And we do actually serve the city of Star. We work very close with them as like a preferred contractor. So we have a very good relationship with them. And we have also been in discussion with the neighbors, as that was brought up. We met them personally outside of the required neighborhood meeting. We took the time and we went and met and spoke with them on the property, and we addressed all of their concerns. And the main concern was some of the fencing, and then also the lighting plan, which we assured them we will address, and it will be, very tactful and not invasive to what they're operating. They're cattle ranchers. The property itself is surrounded by basically farmland. It's all agricultural. There's a feed lot just actually right on the south side of the river there, not too far from our property. So we don't have a lot of neighbors that, are going to be feeling like we're intruding on their homes and making a bunch of noise. We don't even operate out of our yard. We just solely operate, we have our equipment staged at a project or wherever we're at. We're not constantly coming in and out. It's very rare. And we're able to adhere to the operating hours for the business as well. So we feel that the business, the location, the property would be a perfect spot for us to build our long-term home. And as we had discussed, or it was brought up before I came up here, some of those conditions that 33 and 34, I believe, in the conditions of approval, I think what happened was there's several letters that we met with Star on 2 occasions, the city of Star, because it was recommended by the Planning and Zoning Commission. They wanted to get their say on it and get their support for what we were doing. And when I met with them, they supported exactly, our situation, what we're trying to do with our property. And they wrote the initial letter, and then we came back and met with them because they wanted, the Planning and Zoning Commission wanted some more input on the landscaping plan or requirements that Star would want to see. And so then after that, they came back with this other letter with some additional conditions that you're seeing that have been put in the conditions of approval. So I just think it kind of got a little lost where the focus was, because we do have Star's support and they don't mind us being there. And our neighbors don't. We have no objections on any side really for what we're trying to do. So we hope that the board will approve our zoning change and our master site plan and take those 2 conditions out of the development agreement. And I will answer any other
Okay, any questions? Go ahead.
This is both of the staff as well, because the Planning and Zoning Commission recommended us to approval. And what did the letter from the City of Star say? Because it says the City of Star recommended approval as well. So did they recommend those 2 conditions in their letter?
Yes, they did. They recommended those 2 conditions in 2 of their 4 letters.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. I don't have anybody here signed up to testify for or against this, this application. And so are there any documents or files that need to be added to the record?
No.
Okay. Okay, with that, I will close the public hearing on application 2024-01900 ZCDA-MSP. Application being closed. It's my considered opinion that we can't approve those two conditions of approval, primarily because it's something we can't do. And if we can't do it, why would we put it in a condition of approval? We can't enforce or force somebody to get annexed. I hope they do if the city of Star wants them to get annexed, but we can't do anything about it. And then I've never seen an application, maybe in other jurisdictions, but these applications, zoning applies to the land, it does not apply to the owner of the land. Is that not correct?
Correct, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, so I don't see how we can enforce that either. So my recommendation would be we remove those two. And if to do that, you already have it written up, we'll have to table it till a certain date.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, yeah, we would recommend, you feel free to make your decision if you want to approve or deny, but just specify if you want to remove those conditions, and then we can have Doug revise the documents to reflect the decision that you make tonight. They can then they can prepare the development agreement and get that
What would
all
the date be?
for signature. Mr. Chairman, I'm going to look to the clerk here just to make sure I have a proper date, but we'd recommend the open business meeting on March 22nd.
Well, that'd be kind of hard because we're in April.
I apologize. April 22nd.
Unless we're doing it a whole year later.
That's going to be a long wait. So no,
That'd be a long wait.
let's go with April 22nd.
April 22nd, okay, 4/22. Okay, that's my recommendation, but is there a motion from the board?
Mr. Chairman, I would agree with you, and I'm ready to make a motion.
Okay, I'll accept a motion.
I move that we approve the application and remove it's 34 and 35, right? Conditions in the staff report, conditions 34 and 35. Remove those and approve it with those two conditions removed. And as such, then we will table it, application 2024019000 ZC-DA-MSP until the April 22nd meeting to have revised findings of fact and conclusions of law. 33 and 34? Yeah, what did I say, 22? 34 and 35. Okay. 34 and 35. 33 and 34. Oh, because he said, okay. 33 and 34, all right? Is that correct, 33 and 34?
Mr. Chairman, hopefully Doug can verify. I'm looking at the report. I see 34 referencing the use being to the landowner and 35 referencing annexation. So you may have had it right. I jumped to it.
That's the way I read it.
All right, it's 34 and 35 then. All right. And the motion is based on the findings of fact and conclusions of law and testimony that we received?
Correct.
Okay.
I did say that too.
Okay. All right. Is there a second to the motion?
Well, let me debate first. I'm less concerned about leaving those in. My concern is that because the P&Z and Star seemed to have significant conversations, that the only reason they approved this is because of those conditions. I worry that we might be undermining them somewhat if we take these out when they required those to be put in. And enforceability to me is kind of a legal issue, and it's something that wouldn't even come up for several years, most likely. And so I don't really have a problem with leaving conditions in, whether they're enforceable or not. I think they could be left in, whether they're just perceived as, a strong recommendation in the future as far as enforceable. So I'm just less concerned, and I would advocate passing this with the conditions still in there.
All right, I'll second the motion. You don't want to second it, I will. All right.
Well, Mr. Chairman, just, I guess, we don't have a legal discussion here, but it seems impractical to put something in there that we really don't have the authority to do, so.
Well, and I think that there's been a little confusion here because Star doesn't even have a planning and zoning commission. I don't know if you knew that or not. So it must have been staff or something because they don't even have a planning and zoning commission. It's their city council. Is that not correct?
Yeah, Chairman, it was their planning director who.
So it wasn't planning and zoning commission, it was their planning director. Okay.
I was speaking of our planning and zoning.
Oh, I see. I
Yeah.
see. Okay, ours, okay.
But the fact that it was Star's actual planning director, I think just bolsters my case. It was important to them enough to have multiple discussions to ask that to be included, so.
Okay.
All right, all right. Okay, you've heard the motion. All in favor, say aye. Aye?
Aye.
Right?
Okay,
So, Mr. Chairman, to confirm, so you motion to approve striking condition 34 and 35 and then table,
and table
Table until the 21st of, or
22nd.
22nd of March.
of April.
He said March.
I know, but we said April. All right,
April
is
is-
that motion
April is-
clear, Mr. Clerk?
Yeah, does the clerk understand my motion?
Yeah.
I'll restate it if he doesn't. Okay.
Okay, all right. All right, thank you. Okay, now we have application, I'll open the public hearing on application 2025-00285-AC-V, Andrew Miller. We'll get a report from our staff. Elias?
Yes, one moment.
yeah, I just clicked on the Zoom.
Where was it? Public hearing.
Right, those two topics, right? Yeah.
Ryan. She said she'd been to the Star Planning and Zoning Commission several times.
All right. Good evening, Commissioners. Project 2025-00285-AC-V is a request to allow for an increase in size to a proposed secondary dwelling for the construction preferences and a reduced interior side property line setback to facilitate the location of the proposed secondary dwelling. The property in question is located at 3736 East Zaldia Lane in Meridian. It's currently zoned rural urban transition and is approximately 5 acres in size. And as shown on the site plan, the structure shaded in dark gray and located to the northwest side of the property is the proposed secondary dwelling. As you can see, the structure is located within the interior side setback and approximately 10 feet from the property line itself. The setback for the rural urban transition district is 25 feet. And the applicant is requesting relief from this requirement as well as the 1,200 square feet living space limitation for secondary dwelling units. They are only requesting an increase of 7 square feet. As you've heard in other variance applications, our code requires 3 specific findings in order to recommend approval. And the first is that the variance will not grant a special right or privilege that is not otherwise allowed in the base district. The second is that the variance will relieve an undue hardship due to the characteristics of the site. And the third is that the variance will not be detrimental to the public health, safety, and welfare of the community. The proposed location of the secondary dwelling within the interior side setback would constitute a special right or privilege that would not otherwise be allowed in the rural urban transition base district. And additionally, the increase in square footage beyond the allowed 1,200 square feet of living space would also constitute a special right or privilege for any secondary dwelling unit within the space district. And all properties and structures within the rural urban base district, rural urban transition base district are required to abide by the appropriate dimensional standards, and the location and increase in size for this proposed secondary dwelling are not due to any hardship caused by the characteristics of the site itself. There are many other possible locations for the secondary dwelling on the property that would not be within the setback, as evidenced in the record, and the additional 7 square feet are to accommodate a construction preference. Lastly, it should be noted that the variance, should the variance be granted, staff does not find that there would be any detrimental effect on the public health, safety, or welfare of the surrounding community. And additionally, it should be noted that a similar variance was approved for a nearby property last November. No agencies that were transmitted to commented against the application, and no neighbors sent in any comments for or against the application. So based on the findings of fact, staff recommends denial of the application.
And if the board does deny the variance, the proposed secondary dwelling would need to be relocated to a part of the property that complies with all rural urban transition-based district dimensional standards. And the design of the structure would need to be redone to reflect the allowed 1,200 square feet of living space for secondary dwellings. And I'll stand for any questions.
Any questions? Go ahead.
Just, just to clarify, and I thought we did approve, how far away is the property we approved?
It's 2 properties over.
2 properties to the east or west?
To the east.
To the east, okay. So it's just under, on the other side of that property in the picture that,
Yes. It's the property to the east of the one that's directly to the east of this property.
so in that case, we had a neighbor who agreed with that variance granting, correct?
I don't recall if any neighbor comments were submitted for or against that other application. Just for this one, there were no neighborhood comments.
So the community didn't comment one way or the other on this one?
Not on this one, no.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? All right. Thank you. Is the applicant here?
Hello, I'm Andrew Miller. I'm the applicant. Yeah, so there's 2 things that we're trying to do. One is the setback, and so we're trying to build into the setback. The reason we're pushing it away from the house is so that we can fit room for the horse stables that will be attached to the ADU. And so we want enough room for the horses to move around as well as run our equipment through there. And yeah, we also don't want the design to be taken away from the house as you drive up the road. So we're trying to kind of push it away. We have talked to the neighbor to the west side, and they've looked at our house plans, and they're fine with the setback from what we've talked about. And then we did have the neighborhood meeting, and nobody came, so that was that one. And then the second part, which is the increase in size, that really has to do with the second floor and how we're designing it. It's kind of unconventional as far as the way of the trusses. So there will be like a bunch of unused space if we're restricted to the 1,200 square feet. And so we just want to change the design a little bit. We're not changing the footprint at all or the size of the roof. But yeah, we're just changing the design of the truss. So that way the second floor has more room. I don't think the floor plans were included in this presentation, but
They are included in the record, though.
yep.
Okay. Okay, any questions from the commission? Go ahead.
You said you had a neighborhood meeting, but nobody commented.
Correct.
But if you actually talked to your neighbors, informally talked to your neighbors?
Yeah, that's correct.
And none of them,
No.
thank you.
Any other questions?
Did you look at any other way to restructure the layout to comply? Is it not able to be done that any different way?
Well, I mean, it just makes more sense as far as being able to access the garage. And yeah, we also don't want to disturb too much of the landscaping that's already there if we have to push it towards the house.
Thank you.
Is there any other place on the lot where you could build a structure that would have, that would be in compliance?
Possibly, yes.
Where would that be?
We would have to move it closer to the house. But we don't want to push it backwards or else we start to encroach on the wells.
Okay, looks like you've got a lot of room down on, how large is the lot?
It's about 500 feet long,
It's approximately 5 acres in total.
5 acres.
About 5 acres?
Yeah.
Okay. And there's no way you could move the building to like down a little bit, not close to your house, but down a little bit, or?
I believe in the code, you're not supposed to place an ADU in front of a house or the residence. It's actually supposed to be placed behind. I believe that's the case.
There are specific requirements for any secondary dwellings that would be placed in front of the primary dwelling. Those, since it's not currently located there, those haven't been included in this record, but those would kick in if it was located in the front part of the property.
So the front part of the property is considered everything from Zaldia Lane clear to the house?
Yes.
I see. Okay, all right. I don't have, thank you. Do you have any more? Yeah, go ahead.
My question is to staff, because unless I misunderstood or misheard, you said there were other locations on the property where it could be built.
Yes, if it could be located in my opinion and staff's opinion, in any of these, or in some of these locations that would be considered in the front part of the property, and those would be located outside of the required setbacks. But it would change the landscaping in these areas, and it seems like that's what they wanted to avoid.
So I guess clarification then, Mr.
Well,
Chairman.
yeah, you said that you can't move it in the front.
No, you can, but it would necessitate some additional conditions for that secondary dwellings require for being located in front of the primary dwelling.
What are those?
Off the top of my head, I couldn't list all of them, but one of the big ones is the height of the primary dwelling. And in addition to the size limitation for when compared to the primary dwelling.
Go ahead.
So I guess if you're explaining it that way, they would have to come before the planning and zoning and/or us to get permission to do it if it were in the front. They'd have to have some kind of variance or something to do it that way?
No, they wouldn't require a variance. If it was still above the 1,200 square feet of living space, it would require the variance. But if it met the standards for a secondary dwelling, the 1,200 square feet of living space, and it was located outside of the required setbacks here, in addition to meeting the height limitations and the size limitations compared to the primary dwelling, that would just be a staff level application.
Commissioners, to clarify, I think the question you're asking, the current design as it exists couldn't be located in the front yard area. They would have to change their design in order to meet our standards. So technically, a secondary dwelling could be located in the front yard area, but it would not be the design that the applicant's proposing today. So
That's because of the height of the roof?
yeah, height and size of the structure itself are both problematic for the front yard plane standards in our code. So, and the front yard plane, to your point, is anything from basically where that front door is all the way out to Zaldia Lane. So you can see it's a considerable amount of the property that is restricted by the front yard plane standard in our code.
Seems kind of strange, the 5-acre lot.
Right.
No, we reworked this once before, but we still have some standards as it relates to the front yard plane and design of dwellings. So.
And commissioners, just to be clear, we wouldn't consider that a characteristic of the site that would fall under the variance. That would
Hardship.
yeah. Sorry.
Okay. Okay, any other questions from the commission?
No.
Okay, all right, thank you. Are there any other documents or information need to be added to the record?
This presentation will be added as an exhibit to the record.
Okay,
Anyone else testifying?
I don't have anybody else let down here to testify. Is there anybody else here to testify on this one? Don't see anybody. Okay, so you've got everything you need in record. I'll close the public hearing on application 2025-00285AC-V, Andrew Miller. Okay, the application being closed. It's now up to the board. What's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Based on our discussions, it seems to me that, one, the community that is here, the 5-acre lots that are in that community, don't have a problem with it. The use of the property in relation to what the individual wants to do seems to be in conformity with basically the community standard, as it were, in terms of the neighbors, et cetera. So I'm inclined to support the variance, and we've already done similar in that very neighborhood, a very similar thing for the same reasons, and I think they apply here as well.
Okay, any other discussion or motion?
Chairman and Commissioners, if you are looking to approve or looking to basically change my recommendation of denial to approval, we would have to table this application for revised findings.
Okay, is there? Is that?
I'm ready to make a motion.
Okay, so we do the 22nd of March?
22nd of March. I can say that again.
Okay, you can say it again too. No, all right, go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the 2025-00285-AC-V and table it until April 22nd for the staff to change the findings of fact and conclusions of law based on our discussion here tonight.
Okay, yeah, is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Okay, you've heard the motion. All in favor, say aye. Aye?
Aye.
Motion carries, thank you. Okay, Leon, I'll open the public hearing on the Ada County Code, changing the Ada County Code Title 10 and collection of Ada County Sheriff impact fees. Yeah, the hearing being open, we'll hear first from Leon, our staff. Go ahead, Leon.
Thank you, Chairman, Commissioners. I have the most boring presentation of all tonight, but I've got to stretch it out for 6 more minutes. So, no, actually, Commissioners, thank you. This is, per state law, this is how we adopt ordinances. We need to advertise them in the local paper at least twice. We do a public service announcement, and we schedule it on an agenda with our board for the adoption. So this is the ordinance that would allow us to collect impact fees for the Ada County Sheriff's Office in unincorporated Ada County. As you're well aware, we're working with all of our city partners to get other service providers, the coroner, jail, and EMS adopted in their jurisdictions as well. But this one will be solely ours. We will not be collecting this fee in any other of the other jurisdictions. The first step in this process was the adoption of the capital improvement plans for all of those service providers, which did include the Ada County Sheriff's Office. You did that last fall. And we are, just to give you a little bit of an update, we are making great headway with 4 of the 6 city partners right now to get those CIPs adopted into their comprehensive plans as well. So we would expect follow-up ordinances like this in those jurisdictions once the timing is right. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have. I think you're well acquainted with what are in those studies and the fees that we're planning to collect. It's important to note that these fees are collected at the time a permit is issued. And us, as well as a lot of our partners, are issuing a lot of permits right now. So the sooner the better for us to get this going is what we're shooting for. But I'll stand for any questions if you have any.
Any questions from the board? Go ahead.
Just as a follow-up to your report, so is there any inclination that this would be helpful to encourage the 2 remaining cities to be more inclined to participate with us?
Yeah, Chairman, Commissioners, funny enough, this actually came, the idea to go ahead with these particular impact fees came out of a conversation with the city of Meridian. their mayor and city council, who asked why we had not done this yet. And the only answer we had is we were trying to bring them all online at the same time, just for the fact that we had worked on all 4 at the same time. But there really is nothing slowing us down from adopting these now. And so, although it was a little of a funny conversation, it resulted in a positive result here, I think. And we're excited to start collecting these for the sheriff, so.
Okay.
Thank you.
And what is the sheriff fee?
Yes, I'll show you that table here. So it's based on different types of residential as well as different types of commercial. We've broken it up between single family and multifamily. And so pictured here, I can try to blow this up a little bit better for you. Yeah, that's per dwelling unit. So $558 per multifamily dwelling unit, $449. And then the cost per 1,000 square feet for the different types of non-residential.
Okay. And the other fees are the coroner's fee, the EMS, and the
jail.
And the jail.
Yeah.
Why aren't those on here?
Well, that's an interesting one. We've been talking all along about bringing all of those online at the same time, trying to do that with our city partners and us as well, so that we're not collecting early in one jurisdiction versus another. We've had some recent discussion about maybe we should be just starting to collect those now. And so I think that's more of an internal conversation for us to have as to if you want us to start doing that, we would follow a very similar process to what we're doing here tonight. And some of our city partners have said they're ready to start collecting those too. It really just becomes, how do you effectively roll out this, this new fee in an equitable way for all of the cities, so that we're not, again, collecting in one area and a year later the other city starts collecting, that sort of thing. So
Well, that already happens because some jurisdictions don't even have an impact fee. Garden City doesn't have an impact.
that's correct. Yeah, Chairman Christensen. And so, maybe it's less of an issue than we're making of it. And I think that's a good conversation for us to have with you and our service provider leaders to see what we want to do there. The big thing with impact fees, as you're aware, is you get a certain amount of time to collect them. And if you don't collect the right amount of money and are able to fund the things that you identify in your study, you have to go through a pretty arduous refund process. And so we don't want to be engaged in anything like that. So we just want to make sure that we're not stepping into a situation that could result in a lot of headache down the road when our time frame for the impact fee collection has passed. So that's probably the major concern, I would say, as to why we haven't gone to each one and started collecting in each jurisdiction at different times. So.
Okay. Any questions? Go ahead.
Another question. Just informational, when would this be effective?
So this would be effective as soon as we publish this ordinance in the local paper. After your approval, that's the next step, is we publish this and then we submit it to our clerk. And we've already begun work with our team internally to be able to collect this fee with building permits. We've had conversations with the treasurer about that pot of money and how we're going to be handing it off to the sheriff for the improvements they've identified. So within a week or so, this fee will be effective. So.
And the follow-up?
Go ahead.
The type of, so it's any building permit, new building permits, remodeling?
It's any new development, yeah. So it's not for a residential addition. On occasion, not ACHD, on occasion, if it's a significant remodel to a non-residential structure, additional impact fees could be collected, but it's typically for new development. It's for, growth paying for growth is the idea, so.
Okay, and the coroners is, how much is that?
Off the top of my head, I think around $50 or less. It's pretty.
That's just for debt payment.
Correct, yeah.
So there wouldn't be an issue there.
No, it's only that we have yet to collect it in the other jurisdictions where the bulk of the permits are being issued. I mean, Ada County represents, I think, less than 10% of the permits being issued. So collecting that.
Well, nevertheless, but you said the one jurisdiction actually, well, why haven't you guys, don't you think they might ask the same question about these other fees?
In terms of why they can't just start collecting them now?
Why we don't start collecting?
Oh, well, I mean, certainly that's the case. I mean, the explanation I gave you is the explanation I've given them, is that, we kind of want to bring it all online at the same time so that we're not, because if we're the only one who adopts and we collect 10% of the identified revenue, well, we're probably giving all that money back, most likely. I mean, or we're going to be in some difficult situation there with our studies. But
Well, but you've already said that the majority of the cities have already, well underway to getting the money out.
yeah, no, we are making great progress. I think the dam has broken, and we're we're on 4 public hearing agendas now. So
That's right.
It's
Yeah.
going well.
One more question.
Go ahead.
So the timing from collection to usage is what?
Well, that's really up to the sheriff to determine when they can effectively use those funds. I mean, they've identified specific things within those CIPs that they are going to fund. And so it really comes at their discretion and your oversight, most likely, as to when they can pull those funds and start
And use them,
spending them, yeah.
like for the jail and/or other things that.
Right, yeah, and there's equipment that can be purchased, other things like that are lower ticket items that maybe could happen faster, depending on how they prioritize all that.
But I think the commissioner was asking, at what point in time do we have to start figuring out a way to refund it?
If we have to.
Yeah, so not Ada County Code, state law, basically, you have about 10 years. There are some extensions that can occur in there that give you maybe a little bit more time if you've made good progress. And there's a funny section of the state code that really is terrible to read if you ever have to read it. Not terrible, but it's a little confusing as to how you actually are supposed to implement this sometimes. But it's about 10 years. And to another point is the CIPs need to be updated every 5 years, no matter what. So another example or another reason as to maybe why we could start collecting is if we're not making a lot of progress and the revenue amount is a lot smaller, maybe in 5 years we reopen that CIP and make some different decisions, reduce some things that we're going to spend the money on or collect a different amount. So there is some ability for us to adjust based on the outcome of the other cities collecting or not and when they start collecting. So.
Okay, any other questions?
Nope, thank you.
All right. Well, I'll close public hearing then on the Ada County Title 10 and collection of Ada County Sheriff impact fees for Ada County, and the hearing being closed. What's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chair, I'll move to adopt Ada County Title 10, collection of Ada County Sheriff impact fees, which is ordinance number.
We still have to assign an ordinance number to it.
Okay.
That happens after.
Ordinance number to be determined, based on the presentation we've heard tonight.
And do we have to cite the code too, or?
There is an ordinance document that we'll have you sign tonight, yeah.
I didn't know if we had to cite our authority under the Idaho Code. Do we have to cite that?
It's stated, it's written in the ordinance, so.
Okay.
it's
We
on
don't
the
have to have
document
that in
to
our
sign.
motion.
Yeah, we're fine.
All right.
I second the motion.
All right, you've heard the motion. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Do we have any other business need to be brought before the board tonight?
We have, Mr. Chairman.
What's that?
That's all the goodness we have tonight.
All right, we'll be adjourned. We are adjourned.